So, what a wake up, huh? Let's find out what today brings. So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you are new, please do subscribe, hit the bell button, like and comment. Oh dear, well, this is either a great marketing ploy or absolutely shit. We'll see. Anyways, if you are new to the channel, subscribe, hit that bell button, like and comment. Really do appreciate you guys. Obviously, I did a bullish video yesterday thinking, October statistically is quite a bullish month. Yeah, then the FUD alarm comes out, pulls out a load of stuff, which we're going to go over in this video quite nicely. So this morning, we have been woken up by the fact that Donald Trump has contracted coronavirus 19, which is lovely jubbly. What does this mean for us? We don't know. We don't know fully how the markets are going to react. Obviously, by the time you're watching this, you probably would have seen a bit of a fallout. So let's just imagine it's not happened fully yet as you're watching this video, and you're going to find out at some point. Well, hey, who knows? But as the time stands right now, it is currently 20 past 10 UK time. This video will come out at 7 o'clock, 7:30. We're down already. Sentiment's not looking good. Overall, in the Asian markets as well, mixed, interesting, and also the cryptocurrency market as it stands right now, currently mixed, okay? Support levels on Bitcoin, obvious key level, fucking massively key level. We will do further technical analysis in a second, but ultimately just want you to, I want to give you a top tip. Do not sell support levels. Simple as that. This is a support level, don't sell it. You sell resistances, you buy at support, essentially. I know we might dump, so that would indicate wait. If we do fly down and we retest this and this becomes resistance, then start looking to maybe shitting yourself and unload. But it does look bearish overall, as you can see by the trend formation appearing right now. This little micro bullish trend from September might be ending soon, so just be careful, okay? Anyways, more news that's came out. Obviously, I need to talk about this, is the CFTC, the Department of Justice and Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which I think is just a made-up department in an office in a block somewhere. Ultimately, they're going against Bitmex, which we all know is a bit of a sketchy exchange. You know, if you're new to the space, don't go on it. If you're an old hat at the space, you've probably heard of it, you've probably seen of it. Mass manipulation, mass versions of little bit of rumblings in social media in terms of what they say and what happens tends to be a bit of a thing. Ultimately, though, you've got to listen to people like Alpha Hayes in the market. The amount of manipulation that can come from one's mouth is unbelievable. I always say this. People who are holding big positions in big companies, whatever, should not say things. And I'm going to say the same in my next bit of article coming out in a minute when we progress in this video, because it is vitally important we understand. There's a lot of new people that watch my videos, and I understand that what I say sometimes people do just blindly copy. People don't understand the risks of that. I'm not a financial advisor. It is all my opinion. I'm just doing content. But I'm a little YouTuber with 14,000 subscribers. I do have a small amount of influence, a small amount on certain people, not many. But the likes of Arthur Hayes, the likes of CZ, the likes of Justin Sun, the likes of other multi-million followings in terms of users, whatever, will listen to certain people. Now, where I'm going with this is the fact that there's all kinds of allegations and arrest warrants going out for these founders due to manipulation of the markets, due to the fact of certain things that happen in March. Doesn't look good, obviously, but also there's stuff in here in operating a trading facility without the CFT approval for basically everything, all the approvals. But what the biggest thing with this is obviously anti-money laundering and customer information program, which is vitally important. Anti-money laundering procedures is kind of a big thing. When you look at how the Bitcoin market works and how it trades, ultimately it's a free market. It's unregulated, but there's also got to be some sort of rules in place for data and personal safety. Simple as that. You can't just, that's the thing with this. When you use decentralized exchanges, it's different. Totally different, because you're using your own funds, your own private wallet. That's fine. However, your money then goes onto Bitmex. It then becomes their property. To get your property, you need to make an account. Therefore, your name, your address, your email, and also KYC information is needed. This is a new thing for Bitmex, as in they've just recently brought out KYC. However, seems to be a bit late now. With all this in mind, they have been blatantly ignoring this sort of stuff here, the anti-money laundering requirements, which is massively important. There's one thing with Bitmex that people are forgetting. There's a massive insurance fund that is just sitting on Bitmex. It started off with zero. It is now into the multi-millions in terms of how much is in that fund. Where does that money go? Well, that's a question. Why is it there? Why is it required? All kinds of stuff like that is questions that should be asked, because we're trading contracts and swaps using physical Bitcoin in an XBT version. It all sounds a bit strange. It always has been strange. Even when I've been using it in the past, I've always thought this is a bit weird. Why are we using something that is Bitcoin but not known as Bitcoin? It's like, what? So with this being said, please do your research in terms of what you use as like any sort of information you see on YouTube about exchanges. Make sure you do your research. But this is, in my opinion, big news, but not as big as it could have been because of the fact that Bitmex in the past has been losing trust throughout the time. March dump, for example, it lost a lot of customers due to the fact of how it was handled. But it's not just this that is a problem with Bitmex, we know that. So there's all kinds. Bitmex has received over $11 billion in Bitcoin deposits and made more than $1 billion in fees, while conducting significant aspects of business from the US and accepting orders and funds from US customers. Remember, this is banned, and it has been throughout, or it should have been banned from the US throughout. The fact that they were doing custom from those people, that is a thing. That is a main thing. The fact that $1 million in fees has been made from deposits with and from US people. Massive, massive thing. But anyways, enough of that. The next bit of news, obviously, I kind of hinted at it. Tron TRX CEO faces severe allegations of bribery, lies and fraud. Now, I go on again with this. Marketing. Obviously, see it here. Aggressive marketing tactics. He's not very popular. He's a dickhead. I'll be honest with you, he's a dickhead. Because the way he pumps things, the way he fakes things, the way he buys fake votes. But allegations are allegations. Obviously, you've got to be proven to be found, guilty, essentially. Innocent until proven guilty, so to speak. But this is what I'm saying about the words of influence, marketing. Be careful what you say. If I said to people, oh, buy this because of X, Y, and Z's happening, people will be like, yeah, cool, whatever. But if someone makes something up and tries to aggressively market something that's not really a thing and it goes up in price, it's a bit suspect, and that's a problem. So with this in mind, this is obviously interesting. Now, there's all kinds of allegations here. There's a lot of use cases, but in January 29, for example, evidence came to light that Tron had copied part of, obviously, Filecoin and IFPS white paper. That's a big thing. But there's also been allegations of fake Twitter voting for certain things. There's also been sort of fundraisers for said Warren Buffett meal. Obviously, that was hugely important and obviously a bit skeptical. But there's all kinds of stuff in here where there's been all kinds of allegations made against due to the fact of lies, fraud, and frightening working environments. Working environments is obviously key. Former employee of Justin Sun, the Chinese millionaire, regularly tried to change his public image with the press with bribes or threats. So that's obviously interesting to know that money obviously does talk. And I've always said this with the likes of I've always said this with Tron. Tron as an actual bit of technology, it's not too bad in terms of on paper. If you look at it face value and you look at how fast it is, how the smart contracts works, and how it kind of works, it's actually pretty good. The biggest problem with it is the founder, the mass marketing, the way that he comes about, the way that he says certain things. Obviously here there's all kinds of allegations here about bribery and threats. There's all kinds of stuff in terms of manipulation of the markets. That is massively interesting in terms of how is he, as an opinion, a good CEO or a founder. I don't think he is because of that. That always matters. But there's all kinds here in terms of the article also questions Sun's relationship with Alibaba founder Jack Ma, especially in the early days of Tron, advertised as a protege of Ma. I remember this, by the way. I remember it was on the website that he was like a protege, and he was like in the top 30 entrepreneurs in Forbes. That's kind of vanished as well. That was a sponsored article, obviously. But after the disaster, Tron employee ran into a top communications manager of Justin Sun's hero, Jack Ma, at a function in Bay Area. As I mentioned Tron and Justin Sun, he said, "Please tell him that we do not want anything to do with him." If someone is your mentor, protege, whatever, people like that don't say that. Usually they're friends, but there's other influencers out there that use other people's kind of endorsements as fake to try and get customers in. So please just make sure you understand that. Obviously, if that is the case and that does become true and it does come out in the public, it's going to lose a lot of trust with the Tron brand. And as I say, I think Tron as a bit of kit, essentially, a bit of kit, isn't too bad. But the problem is who's in front. But shall we end this video on some good news? Some good news before we go into some technicals. Binance has finally listed a good coin. Finally, you trust. This means that I can no longer need to use Qcoin as much as I do, because obviously Utrust was mainly on Qcoin and OKX and Huobi. But ultimately, for me, this is like an absolute brilliant listing. I rate Utrust a lot. You've probably seen a video on it in terms of how I feel that it's really, really good. For me, overall opinion on it, just be careful with, obviously, if you're looking to buy now. The reason being, there's no man gone on that one, is there? The reason being, it's pumped a lot in price. As you can see here, it's went up. It's obviously come back down, but for me, you know, a great asset. Long term, great hold, great bit of kit, in my opinion, for obviously e-commerce and marketing. For marketing your brand and being able to get, you know, payments through cryptocurrency, which is great. But let's do some technicals. So right now the altcoin market is taking a bit of a hit. As you can see here, we've got, you know, a huge top, a nice low, lower high, lower low, and we're finally mounting. I'm really annoyed with myself though, because this was a trade that I was actually in, but I got stopped out by the whisker of me bollocks, because it literally just tapped just above a certain level, and I was like, oh, you little bastard. But ultimately the trade setup that I had on the daily was actually this, and it just wicked me out, gutted. So I have quite tight stop losses because I use a daily time frame. I had a stop loss at 368. It went up to 370, pretty much on the nose, and it started to melt. You know, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if we see a 287 region on this at least, or a 260, if it is going to be a swing. Because if it is a swing and we continue the downtrend, we are going to at least visit 300 weekly levels and then maybe below. So that's a bit of a bummer in terms of that. But the reason why obviously the altcoin market is taking a hit is due to the fact of, one, the setup it's in a downtrend, it needs to break. It was coming very, very close to a potential break there, but it obviously failed it. But for me, the news of obviously Bitmex and stuff like that is not going to be handy at all. When we look at the total 2 chart, just to give you an insight, this is looking very, very bearish overall. It's, as you can see, the overall structure, it's showing the same bearish structure as most altcoins. Obviously, the fact that, you know, the world of Ethereum is quite a big coin, that will look very, very similar to this chart in terms of altcoins. Same with the BTC dominance. It's obviously going to start going up if the market is obviously going to be dumping in terms of altcoins. If the altcoins dump, Bitcoin dominance will rise because Bitcoin is a stronger identity. And as you can see here, it is going in a nice little uptrend. So just be absolutely careful what you're doing right now. In terms of this, my opinion is I'm just going to sit tight for now, see what happens. But I'm not overall worried if it totally dumps. I'm in the market, I've got my amount that I want, but you don't sell at support, and you don't, you know, simple as that, you just don't sell at supports. In terms of Delo, a bit of an update. Obviously, this has been a nice little uptrend. It is correcting, but I still think that this will carry on going up. Reason being, I do feel that Uniswap and the Ethereum bridge coming out, and not to mention the staking, will obviously create a bit of hype. And it, you know, one of those things, today's red day will be tomorrow's green day in essential terms in cryptocurrency. So don't just flap, don't just, you know, it's rubbish. Just be careful in terms of how much exposure you have to the market, because any bit of rumbling and news will always affect this. But just to finish off, just a bit of an insight as well. This obviously does look quite bearish as it stands, but you got to remember the weekly. And, you know, if you look at the weekly time frames, for example, I mentioned this yesterday, it still is in a bit of an uptrend. And you've obviously got to look at the monthly as well in terms of where we are. Don't just flap at this. This is a long month ahead. This could be just a little bit of a flash in the pan. But remember, hopium Opium could come out of nowhere, same as FUD. So just be careful in terms of what you're doing. But for me, overall, you know, it's not looking good, but it's also not the worst situation you could be in. So just be careful.